Good afternoon. This is Tom LaBonge here, and my colleagues, Ms. Perry and Ms. Hahn, are in the district. I hope they come, but they may not be able to come. There's some important items here today that we will take up right now. This is already the 6th day of February 2008, and this is the Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee. I want to hold item 1 for a moment to give them a chance to get here. Item 2. Okay. What do we have here?
Item 2 is a report from the Department of Recreation and Parks relative to a grant from the State of California regarding the Watts Care 6 Sites Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative.
Mr. Mariscal?
Mark Mariscal, Superintendent of the Pacific Region. Councilmember LaBonge, this is our board took action a couple weeks back. This is moving this forward so that we can go ahead and move forward on a grant with
Ms. Hahn been briefed on it?
They have been briefed on it, and
would
like us to
support
proceed
it
quickly.
Move forward, please. Thank you. Okay, next item.
Item number 3 is a motion, Gruel Alarcon Smith, relative to establishing a horse advisory task force.
Anyone here to speak on that?
Good afternoon, Councilmember LaBonge. Linda Barth, Assistant General Manager for the Los Angeles Department of Animal Services. We are one of the departments that would be a part of this task force. We are very enthusiastic about it. I brought with me today Captain Jen Selder, who introduced herself, who will be the chair of the task force as far as our department is concerned.
I'm Captain Jen Selder. I'm currently the district manager for the West Valley Animal Shelter in Chatsworth.
And you want to just explain a little bit about DART and your...
Yeah, currently I'm actually on the DART team, the Airlift Rescue Team for Horses. Chatsworth has a huge horse community, as well as I live in Shadow Hills, another huge horse community. I am a horse owner in the area, so I have a huge interest in this.
How many horses do we have in the city of Los Angeles, you think?
I don't actually know the total number.
How many licenses of horses do we have?
approximately 1,500.
1,500.
Yeah, and although we had a great event on Monday where members of the community had been getting together doing sort of ad hoc canvassing and brought in 300 licenses in one fell swoop, and that was on Monday. So we're very excited about that and those kinds of efforts. And I think that will be one of the goals of this task force, is to help us reach into the community, communicate more about the importance of licensing.
And I don't know if the CAO was going to answer that, but 100% of the fees for a license goes to the equine tax trust. It doesn't go to the general fund. It goes for...
100% of it goes to the trust fund, which is administered by the Department of Recreation and Parks to maintain trails.
And will this be citywide?
The task force will look at citywide issues, yes.
And do we have any horses that live in the San Pedro area in South Los Angeles? We do.
There's a few in the Pacific Palisades. down in
Pacific
that area.
Palisades?
Yeah, there's some horses down there.
But not in San Pedro per se, and nothing in South Los Angeles?
No, in South Los Angeles, I don't believe so, no.
Okay, good. All right, so let's make sure you have people from the districts which are there, which I think would include some of the 4th, the 13th, the 11th. I don't know if the 5th. But make sure it includes all those valley districts too that touch it. So we're going to move forward with this, okay?
And I
Anyone
believe
else want to speak to this issue at all? I don't know, do you fill out a card? Do you have a card to fill out? Good. Come on forward, please.
Hello, my name is Mary Benson. I'm the Executive Director of LA Trails Project, and I was the organizer of the event on Monday. We actually turned in 430 horse licenses.
430.
Equaling $6,200 that was entered that day. I'm very enthusiastic about the task force and hope that this will revitalize the 40th anniversary of the Los Angeles Citywide Hiking and Equestrian Trails Master Plan. LA Trails Project has been awarded a technical assistance grant from the National Park Service, and I hope to be able to bring the city of Los Angeles up to the 21st century as far as trails are concerned. One other item I want to say, State Parks matches equestrian recreational trail building by 84%. Over the last 40 years, the City of Los Angeles has missed out on millions of dollars of appropriations. In closing, I'd like to add that I've been working with the State Recreation and Parks Department. They have a Recreational Trails Committee, and also the National Park Service, RTCA. Thank you.
Mary, thank you, and I think we met on the floor of the Equestrian Center. You presented Ms. Gruhl an award, and I was there.
Yes, and Lynn presented you with an award.
That's great.
And on the 30th...
Let me ask you a question there, technically.
Pardon?
Do you think that horses that live outside the city but come into the city, should they be licensed with the Los Angeles?
I think
license?
that's something that the task force needs to investigate, because Los Angeles is the only city in the county that has a horse license. People are very confused. If you own a horse and you live in the city of LA, but you keep it outside the city, should it be licensed? If you keep it in Burbank, but you live in LA, should it be licensed because you're an LA resident with a horse? The rules are very confusing. Plus, for animal control, they collect the $14, but they don't get to keep it. It all goes to Recreation and Parks for trails maintenance.
For trails maintenance, that's what I meant on that trust. So,
right.
Should it be higher than $14?
Well, I think the task force needs to investigate maybe a better way to do trail maintenance. And the other thing is, for our park health and aging, every 263 feet of a 20-foot wide trail easement adds an acre to parkland. It's how the city of Boston and some of those concentrated cities are so high in their park numbers, because they have acre after acre after acre of trail alignments. In San Francisco, there is 1,100 miles of recreational trails within the Marin, San Francisco, Alameda County district. And not all of that is in parks. A lot of that is in greenways. And because the greenway adds to the park acreage, it increases the park ratio.
Thank you very much, Mary. There's a lot of issues there. I hope all members in the council should be included in this task force, a representative from their offices as well to help on that.
And there are horses in San Pedro in Bandini Park.
Bandini Park, that's what I thought. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to move that forward. Now I'd like to go back to item number 1 right now.
Item number 1 is a presentation by the Department of Recreation and Parks relative to the citywide Community Needs Assessment Project.
And members of the department staff and the contractor, I would appreciate, because I think this is real important, that what we do here, we do again in council in a full-blown way. Because I think it's real important that there's a need assessment now happening. So feel free. You could give me the Cliff Notes version, but save the long version for the council. Okay. But I think it's real important. And when are we going to schedule this in council, Madam Clerk?
This is a presentation item only.
So we could send it forth to council for presentation?
You have to check with Council President's office.
We'll check with the Council President's office, but we'll schedule it in council, because you all agree this is important to get the word out. Thank you. Okay.
Councilmember LaBonge, my name is Melinda Geyer. I'm a planning associate with the Department of Recreation and Parks.
And I'm going to look at that instead of...
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I just really want to take a brief moment to acknowledge the support that we received from the council offices and their staff, the neighborhood councils and other city departments in helping us to get the word out and have some of the large response we received from the public in doing our needs assessment. This needs assessment was done the first time in 1999, and it's definitely time to update based on changing demographics and population shifts. And so far, we're about 80% through the public participation component of this needs assessment, which is but one component, and we are still in the process of doing a demographic analysis and an infrastructure evaluation, and those things together will give us some preliminary results that we hope to have available in the spring. And now I'm actually going to turn this over to our consultant team, composed of Miller and Associates and Pros Consulting, for additional detail.
So, good afternoon, Councilman LaBonge. The needs assessment project is the first step before a citywide master plan. The Recreation and Parks needs assessment that was done last in Los Angeles was in 1999, And the objective of the needs assessment is to help prioritize and address the tremendous challenges the department faces, such as acquiring additional recreation and park land, the existing facilities requiring improvements to prevent future maintenance problems, and to offer positive alternatives to increasingly dense and urbanized population.
Right, and I have that, so you could just paraphrase each page and then
Yes.
prepare for something on that, so
Sure.
you know.
Well, Councilman Labange, I think one of the most important things is, overall, this project is about, one, going out into the community and understanding the unique needs that exist in this, huge city. And that is the first 3 steps, phase 1, 2, and 3. We'll be wrapping that up in the next 2 months. Right now, we have 3 additional steps in this process that are yet to be funded, but are very important to the overall completion of this project, and that's the physical element, the physical analysis. It's very important to take what we hear in the field and compare it to what we have on the ground so we can identify the gaps. To date, we've, as Melinda said, we're about 85% complete with some public forums, some leadership interviews, and the survey to be
Have we
completed.
directly reached out to neighborhood councils in any form or fashion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Every one of them has been notified about this, had an opportunity to speak?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, have any of them showed up?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We've had neighborhood council members probably at every meeting.
Good, okay, because sometimes, and you would know this, Claire, the park advisory person would be more active in that and not necessarily transcend into this, but they are.
That is correct, Councilman. We've actually had our own recreation staff outreaching to park advisory boards. The consultant team also has a public relations firm, the Robert Group, that has been also outreaching to the neighborhood
Good.
councils.
Okay.
I think one of the most important things is, as we move forward, it's recognizing what is a great park and recreation system. What are the elements and what are the critical issues that need to be addressed? And the first thing we're doing here with planning document is the very first step in achieving a very solid and balanced park system along with recreation. And ultimately, this document will help you and others that make decisions understand all the critical elements and how they all fit together to achieve the overall goal. We have been out throughout the entire city and working very hard to make sure we reach out and gain input from all the various communities that make up Los Angeles. One of the things that we try to do is we try to build on the strengths and address the weaknesses. And some of the things that we've heard to date with respect to the strengths are the people are very passionate about their parks, and there's there's just a significant foundation of parks and facilities throughout the city. But at the same time, there's not enough. The equitable distribution of the parks and facilities, the overall programming reaching all the different age segments and all the different varied interests that people have throughout the city is quite honestly overwhelming from just a magnitude. And so it creates a lot of stress on the system, a lot of stress on the department in trying to address all of these needs. Ultimately, our plan is to convert this into a business model. Take community input and translate it into a strategic planning tool that will help address the various needs and strategies to help communicate the strategies, identify the
You
resources.
look at the department staff and their, how they organize. One of my concerns is Mark Mariscal still here? One of my concerns is you have a rec director, but he can't necessarily talk directly to a maintenance person. And I think it all should be under the same, who's principal of the school is in charge of the school, who's principal of the playground is in charge of the playground, and then they get everybody to work.
We're having some internal, conversations with the department and interdepartmental working meeting, and some of those issues are going to be fleshed out and brought forward with some solutions.
Yeah, I think that's really the whole idea of this project is we have to get a comprehensive evaluation of the entire department And then, ultimately, our scope is to address the physical improvements. But programming, operations, maintenance, financial, all those play an incredibly important role in ultimately meeting the needs. We wanted to share a couple of stories of success on similar projects that we've done across the United States that were in systems that had similar issues. Decline condition of infrastructure, a very diverse and growing community and demographics. And Dallas is one of those. So when we started on the project in '99 and ended in 2002, we identified $1.8 billion worth of capital improvements. But within the next 3.5, 4 years, we were able to successfully, at record levels, pass 2 different bond referendums and leverage those $450 million with another $350 million in partnership funds. And to us, it's all about leveraging. Likewise, in Fairfax County, Virginia, suburban Washington, D.C., there were so many different communities, both incorporated and unincorporated communities, similar to the suburban communities within Los Angeles, that we had to identify a very thorough and definitive capital improvement funding process to clearly address and define when the various improvements would be made and where the funding would come from. In closing, to us, there's some critical next steps, and one is maintaining momentum. A process like this, we're engaging the stakeholders, the leaders throughout the community, and those that are your advocates for parks and recreation. And everywhere we go, we are greeted with a lot of input, but also appreciation for coming out and listening to them and also answering their questions. And so to maintain this momentum is extremely important. And part of that is finishing up the current task of the community input process, but also it is finishing up the overall needs assessment process. Because without that, we're going to have a lot of good information, but we're not going to have any action plans. Then we have to translate that into a capital improvement plan. Ultimately, we have to quantify the needs. We have to understand what it's going to cost, when can we get to it, and how we can go about getting to it. And lastly, we need to understand how this fits into a longer plan, a longer vision, strategic plan. And that is what people buy into. They buy into a vision and they support a vision. Ultimately, we need to help execute some quick wins and position for long-term success, and that will build advocacy and support for the department and for ultimately implementing the plan.
Very good. So would you like to say something on behalf of the department?
Councilman, we've been very gratified at almost every one of our workshops have been well attended, 50 to 100 people, especially the youth component. At almost every workshop, we've had sufficient numbers of youth to actually have an entire breakout session of youth. And as 30% of the population is under the age of 18 in the city of Los Angeles, we're very, very pleased to have a good turnout of the youth, and also of actually a very diverse group at each and every workshop. We've had every age group, every gender, every cultural and racial groups. We've had very diverse people coming to the workshops. And I'm sure you'll be pleased to see the Pan-Pacific one coming up in your district on Thursday, and I'm sure it will also
Tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow. Yes.
All right. Okay, good. All right, well, I'm going to thank all the staff there. There are some public comments cards here. Tessa McClendon, yes, you could come speak, and Jeff Page as well. Thank you for that presentation. And Mia, let's talk before we get a schedule for council, so you could just hit it and maybe sometimes personalize it as you've done. Thank you very much. Tessa.
Good afternoon. My name is Tessa Maxwell McClendon. I'm a federal inspector general, and I'm representing Clarence E. McClendon Ministries and the Oval Office. One of the things that I just have a question, because I don't want to take up much of your time because it is valuable. I noticed here in a lot of the playgrounds, I'm originally from New York, and one of the things that we've always done in New York is we've rubberized our playgrounds. For needs assessment, it's just a question and a comment. Maybe they can consider it, because my daughter, she went to elementary school here, and she used to fall a lot of times when she was in school and hit herself on the asphalt. My question is, or is it possible, or why do you not have rubberized playgrounds?
Well,
with
okay, just a
safety?
question I know as someone who has children and go to playgrounds, they're trying to rubberize as many playgrounds as they can now, and they're making them modern, and you'll be proud of the Los Angeles playgrounds, but we're a little behind, because we got so much sunshine in Southern California. I think we're a little, we're the East Coast, which has snow and has other elements that create a different foot pattern, but I know that Pan Pacific is done, right, Neil? That's done, and so Griffith Park and Shane's Inspiration is done, and then many others throughout. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, should I say General?
Yes, sir.
All right, General.
How you doing?
How long you been a General?
Excuse me?
How long you been a General?
Since 1982, sir.
1982. What year were you born?
1965.
65. Wow. Well, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Councilman, did I take away from my time? Sorry.
Sure. No, you got as much time as you want.
Thank you. Councilman LaBonge, I just want to say that I'm a community activist, and my focus is on the Skid Row community. So therefore, I attended the community needs assessment in the downtown Los Angeles area, and everything that I could testify that everything that what was said to you was accurate in terms of the community turnout, the diversity, the youth, and so far so good. We're very pleased with the dialogue that has been initiated between the community as well as Recs and Parks, because in the past we have been unable to establish any type of a rapport with the staff members, and so I think that the community needs assessment is a wonderful idea. So I just wanted to say that. Also, too, specifically speaking in regards to Gladys Park, there's a lot of attention on that, and I just want to basically go on record as saying that we hope that the attention continues in terms of Gladys Park, and to also make the council aware that we also have a proposal of a new park of vacant land that we would like to submit and give to you all today.
Where is that?
This is in the Central City East. It's like 3 blocks from 9th and San Pedro.
So would that be at 6th and San Pedro or at 12th and San Pedro? But I don't know if 12th Street runs over there.
9th and San Pedro is actually where 9th.
You said 3 blocks, so I was going 3 and 9.
Blocks east of on 9th Street.
On 9th, 3 blocks east.
From San Pedro. So it's basically like 9th and Gladys.
And Gladys, okay, good. Will
It's
you talk to the council person of the district?
Ms. Jan Perry. I've went to her office, but I have not yet to actually.
Continue to do that dialogue and work with the department staff. Make sure, because I think that's a very big value of Ms. Perry to find land for parks in the Central City. So thank you, General, for coming down.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good afternoon. Anybody else want to speak on this item? Okay, we're going to send this forth to council, have a presentation in council, and I thank you for that presentation, Ms. Lara and department staff, and a safe trip back to Dallas. Thank you, Tessie. Bye-bye now. Next item, we'll go back to the regular agenda.
Item number 4 is a report from the Department of Aging relative to a contract with Little Tokyo Service Center for the Family Caregiver Care Management Program.
Great. Anybody here to speak to that?
My name is Jacob Wood. I'm the Director of the Planning Division of the Department of Aging.
Yes.
And we would just like approval of our selection of Little Tokyo Service Center to be the service provider for the Family Caregiver Case Management Program for limited and non-English speaking.
You're good with it.
Good afternoon, Council Member. Our office reviewed the attached report provided by the Department of Aging and recommend approval to execute a contract with Little Tokyo Service Center. Their term is from July 1st, 2007 through June 30th, 2008 with 3 one-year contract renewals. RFP was conducted, 8 proposals were submitted, 6 were accepted, and Little Tokyo was the highest scored contractor. There's no impact on the general fund, and the contract would be fully funded by grant funds.
All right, well, let's approve it, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Move forward on that. We do have some public comment, but I think it says general public comment, so we'll hold that for later on. Thank you. We'll move approval.
Item number 5 is a
Yes.
Department of Aging report relative to a budget amendment and a contract amendment regarding the health insurance counseling and advocacy program.
Okay?
It's an acceptance of one-time only money for the high cap program, which the service provider is Center for Healthcare Rights, and they provide services to help people file applications for Medicare, Social
Right.
Security.
Good. How much is the grant for?
It was 32, the one-time only money was $32,463.
Very good. Move approval?
Yes, Councilman.
Okay, thank you. Move approval. Next item, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is a motion, Alarcon Carnes, relative to the feasibility of constructing a library on San Fernando Mission Road in Brand Park.
Okay, is anyone here on this item? We're going to send it on to council, but it's to be constructing a library. They're going to do a study to see if we could construct it on Brand Park. And Madam City Attorney, is there any problem with building a library on a public park?
I can't think of a problem. I mean, obviously, the departments would have to communicate.
Right.
There'd be funding issues, but there's no obstacle per se if that happens.
Great, okay, good. And now I'd like to move approval on that, send it forward. Joan Taylor, your time to speak, Joan Taylor.
There's one more item on the regular
Oh, I
agenda.
know, but I
Okay.
like to wait
Thank
to
you.
the end, so I don't want to be...
Thank you.
Come on, Joan. You may come up. Approach the bench. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Joan Taylor, and I'm here for seniors and disabled. I would like to know that you would place this on the agenda or give an order to Department of Aging to improve their management of the 50-cent vans. There are two 50-cent vans for each of the council districts. And the Department of Aging is giving one ride to a person. The ride costs the taxpayer $40. That means that the taxpayer spends $80 to take some old lady to and from a 99-cent store.
Now, don't pick on
We can't
old
afford
ladies.
that.
Say younger or mature or
I am
golden.
sorry, I am deaf.
I know you are, Joan.
Receptionist, I cannot understand. But
Okay.
my hope is that you will either place this on the
Who's
agenda
here from the
for next
Department of
time.
Aging right here? Did they
Or-
get out the door already? Okay. Can I ask
cannot
the
answer if
CLA
it's written.
to review this and see if there's any merit to respond to?
Thank
you, Joan. Joan, thank you. Okay, I said thank you. All right, next item, please.
Item number 7 is a motion, Weezer Carnes, relative to the feasibility of erecting a statue in honor of Antonio Aguilar at Placita Olvera.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, good.
Mr. Chairman, Robert Andrade, General Manager for El Pueblo. Pursuant to council motion, Huizar Cardenas on the feasibility of erecting a statue to honor Antonio Aguilar at El Pueblo, I will refer you to our commission's policy regarding such monuments, and it was established in November of 1997. And very briefly, there are 4 basic conditions for approval. Eligibility, and that as it relates to both the mission of our department as well as the founding of the city. Recognition, number 2, which considers only those persons who are deceased and who have made a material contribution to the founding of the city or history of El Pueblo. Cost, financing by the requesting organization, and then maintenance provided by the requesting party for at least 10 years. There's a formal process that any agency or organization could follow, and essentially they would submit a proposal to the department, which would be reviewed by a committee made of city staff as well as experts in the field. We would review the documentation to determine the validity and the significance of the monument at El Pueblo, evaluate the size, shape, and design. And conceptual approval and disapproval would be made by the general manager and forwarded to the commission for their final approval. which would hold public hearings. The requesting party would need to have approval from the Cultural Affairs Department, complete or demonstrate full financing of the project.
Let me just ask a question. I heard all your things. Is this person still living?
I believe Antonio Aguilar has passed away.
Okay, good. And is this fully
I don't know if that's-
funded by somebody?
I'm sorry?
Is this fully funded by somebody?
To my knowledge, it is not fully funded.
And do we have we don't meet the guidelines on this, in other words?
At this point, the guidelines are not being met.
Is there
And actually, we would need a full proposal from the requesting organization
Is there a
for,
representative from the council office here?
there is.
Sure. Hi, come on forward.
Councilmember Samantha Yu with Councilmember Huizar's office.
Great. Have you been briefed on all the hurdles you have on this?
Yes, we have been in communication with the department. We would still like to continue moving this proposal forward so we can continue to address those concerns, but this is something that Councilmember Huizar is very, very supportive of and would like to shepherd forward.
I got all that, but we got a bunch of hurdles they haven't been able to jump over.
Yes, yes,
I
definitely.
mean, should I, see, I would feel more comfortable if maybe there was, I held this in committee, gave you a chance to meet. Have you met and gone over this before?
We've met with Councilman Huizar's office and staff regarding the matter.
But there's no money, is there any identified, when you
we
come to council, I want to have those questions answered, that yes, there is a full funding source, yes, there'll be no cost to the city of Los Angeles, yes, it meets the criteria, and I'm reading from the motion, I think there's some element of meets the criteria in some respect there. So this is what I would rather see, you guys a little more together before you come to council, because right now there's a policy, which is a well-thought-out policy that I know they looked at that, and I believe even maybe a member of city council was on the El Pueblo board at that time. I believe Mr. Cardenas was maybe part of that process. So, because some of these questions haven't been answered.
Correct. As Mr. Andrade noted, we will have to work with the requesting organization to develop a very detailed proposal that'll answer some of the questions you've raised, the funding sources, meeting the criteria the department has laid out and the like.
Well, why don't we have a meet with them and lay it all out, and then get that strong commitment from them that they're going to meet this, and then go forward. I don't think the council would want to deviate from a policy unless there was someone very committed to it. What do you think, Mr. General Manager?
I believe that we could work very closely with CD14 to ensure that a formal proposal could be made to the department and to our commission and then brought forward that way. I think what's before you is an option of maybe holding it in committee if that's agreeable by CD14. Up until that time, we receive a proposal and then...
Yeah, where would it be located, El Pueblo?
That actually is one of the other criteria. They would have to come forward with schematics and make a recommendation on where that location would be. Initially,
make sure it fits with whatever the theme is.
Precisely.
So, could you do that?
Absolutely.
You know, instead of going to council, I think, because there's a number of questions, let's get them answered, and then we'll schedule it the next time. We'll either hold it for, can you do it, and when's our next meeting?
20th.
Can you do it by the 20th, or do you think you want to go a full month?
I think 30 days would be,
Yeah, okay, 30 days, we'll hold it 30 days in committee, and reschedule it, item number 1, 30 days from now.
great.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else before us, sir? Nothing else before us? Nothing from the CAO? No complaints? Sergeant, everything okay? 2:45, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.